very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch, a show that gives you all the latest news and updates from the digital ecosystem. I'm Priya Sheth. Thank you very much for logging in. Time now to get you all the top news stories that we've been tracking for you this evening. Well, first up, sources say that digital payments and financial services firm Paytm has received an in-principle approval from the company's board to raise as much as 22,000 crore rupees through an IPO during the October to December quarter this year. The company is looking at an enterprise value of over 2 lakh crore rupees for this IPO. Well, moving on to the second headline of the day, Bengaluru-based employee health insurance startup Plum has raised about $15.6 million in a Series A funding led by Tiger Global. The startup said that it would be using these funds to further scale its engineering, business development, and operations teams. Now, Plum is building newer insurance products for SMEs who have teams as small as 7 employees and cannot afford to pay annual premiums. Now, the health insurance startup has raised about $5 million in earlier rounds last year. Well, IPO-bound logistics tech unicorn Delivery has raised about $277 million in what is expected to be the final funding round before the firm files for an IPO later this year. The new round values the 10-year-old startup at about $3 billion, having raised about $1.23 billion to date. Moving on to the final headline of the day, rural fintech startup Jai Kisan has raised $30 million in a Series A funding led by Murray Assets. The funding will be used to hire talent, enhance engineering and data science capabilities, as well as expand into new geographies and start building an on-book portfolio. Well, moving on to our second segment, I have with me Dr. Harsha Jain, who has been running this platform called Doceree. Thank you very much, Dr. Jain, for joining us today. I want to begin by asking you about this platform. You launched it in March last year. It's been 1 year since the platform has been operational. What has been your kind of experience in dealing with physicians at this point in time?
Great. Thanks, Priya. So I think the response has been overwhelming for us. So we say that we are a business born out of the pandemic because we launched when the pandemic was just beginning. And fortunately or unfortunately, it kind of proved as a blessing in disguise, both on the pharmaceutical side, who was struggling to reach out to physicians when all the sales reps were grounded and events were cancelled, while on the doctor side also, because their physical interactions with the sales rep were so limited. And sales rep are a great source of education. They keep them informed about what is happening in the field of research. Physicians started depending on digital medium a lot more, whether it is the medical journals to not just know about COVID, but in the other fields also, what are the new things that are going on. And also the usage of other mediums like telehealth platforms, EHR also increased significantly because of the pace at which things were going on.
Right. As we speak at this point in time, what is the kind of growth that you've seen over the last couple of months in terms of the number of physicians that you've brought on board? And specifically, if you could give us a breakup between, overseas, what has been the kind of growth, as well as in India, what's been the kind of growth?
Sure. So overall, we are able to reach almost 1.6 million physicians at this point, with our presence in 2 countries, US and India. And the numbers is about 1 million US physicians we can reach through Docere and about 600,000 through Docere in the India market.
Right. In terms of the kind of roadmap going forward, I wanted to understand one key thing is that, this would, having such an interface in place, it would really help cut out the middle layer, which is basically the marketing and the sales representatives that are there at this point in time. Do you think that your platform could be a substitute to that? And what is the kind of growth that you envisage in 2021?
So we don't think it will be a substitution. We are imagining it as would be a supplement to the sales rep activities, right? Think about it, how the consumer marketing evolved in last decade. The sales reps or the offline activities still stay, while the budgets on the digital side have increased almost about 50% of the total advertising budgets. That's the kind of growth we see on the pharmaceutical messaging side as well. We have experienced almost 50% month-on-month growth And our India business is already profitable in less than 12 months of launching. Our US business would be profitable by July. That's what we are estimating, right? And what we ultimately want to do is we are trying to understand why does a physician prescribes what he prescribes, right? It's a very complex subject. Being a physician myself, I often tend to think and ask myself, why do I prescribe it? Because it is very different from consumer marketing where you're buying something for yourself. It's buying a pair of Snickers or buying a phone for yourself. But in this case, you are taking a decision for a patient, for someone else, right? So, what are the motivations that drive you? It's a field that is under research, and we are trying to study that using data. And then using artificial intelligent algorithms through the platform, we're trying to help pharmaceutical brands achieve those objectives.
So what kind of revenue model are you working with at this point in time? If you could give us some indication in whether it's a subscription-based revenue model, or what are the kind of ways by which you operate?
So we are a SaaS platform, a subscription-based platform. We charge an annual subscription fee to brands for using our platform. And after they have access to the platform, there is no minimum limits. They can spend whatever they want to reach out to physicians. Extremely flexible and a self-service platform.
Right, going forward, what is the kind of growth that you envisage in 2022, 2023, considering that this pandemic is here to stay for the next couple of months, and more physicians want to get in touch, to stay updated of the latest kind of medicines available in the market. So what is the kind of growth that you envisage?
See, we will be launching to European market within next 3 months, and it's a massive market. In terms of numbers, it comes second after the US market. And then towards the end of this year, another market in Asia Pac, which may most likely be Japan, right? So together in these four markets, we will be able to cover almost 75% of the global healthcare spends. Right? By 2022, we'll be able to influence that. So our goal with which we are working on is by the end of 2023, we want to make this a unicorn. Right? That's the direction we are headed and building towards that.
So in terms of revenues, if you could give us some estimate in terms of how much revenues do you have at this point in time, and what is the kind of target that you have for 2022 in terms of revenue growth?
So by the end of 2020, end of 2021, financial year end of 2021, we are hoping to achieve almost $10 million as revenue for us. And from the numbers, it looks like we are on track to achieve it.
Yeah. So when we talk about fundraising, in May 2020, you raised about $1 million. In terms of utilization, what have these funds been utilized for? And are you looking at raising another round of funding as we speak?
Yes. So after that round of 1 million, we raised another million towards the end of 2020. And the funds are being utilized to build the technology platform, which is proprietary in nature, and on talent and marketing initiatives. We have started preparing for our Series A investment and hope to close that in a couple of months.
Considering that, both profitability is a big concern for a lot of companies at this point in time. How soon do you think you would get profitable?
So we are already profitable in India market. India business is profitable, and US business would be profitable by July. And that's the reason we didn't raise large rounds earlier on, because we wanted to prove this concept, make the business profitable, and then use the capital raised to further expand it globally.
A final question before I let you go. In terms of the new services or the new products that you'll be launching on your platform, if you could give us some indication on what we can expect and what's in the pipeline.
Sure. So the products that are in the pipeline is to help our publisher platforms, which are these medical journals, telehealth, EHR. How can they make more, not just from the inventory, which is the traditional sell they have been doing, but from the data that they have been gathering? Like a lot of first party data they are sitting on. So we'll be creating a data marketplace, a global data marketplace in which they will have an opportunity to monetize that as well. Secondly, we are doing a lot of work on the measurement side, right? Where we want to help the brands measure the outcomes of the campaigns. right? And it is not in terms of just the vanity metrics, but it is the metrics which really makes a difference. So for the India market, we're trying to establish a linkage with the prescriptions that a doctor is writing or the behavior change that is resulting from the campaigns that the brand is running. So we have those things in the pipeline, and yeah, you should see that coming in next few weeks to months.
All right. On that note, many thanks for joining us today, Dr. Jain. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Priya. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, time now to wrap up this edition of the Daily Dispatch. I'll catch you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Goodbye and stay safe.